to see his baby daughter for the first time, and he was completely in shock. He gave me a hug and a kiss, but all you could look at was her. He was shaking, laughing, crying, everything. He was so nervous. The midwife had to help him hold her because he didn't know what to do with his hands. He was just in shock and so happy. And even though he was wearing a mask, I saw such happiness in his eyes, and he was like in tears. And everything that I saw that day, if I only could see a bare shadow of it while I was pregnant, just 1% of it, it could have given me so much life. That was all I wanted, to see him happy. But he was just so normal the whole pregnancy, and majority of our issues were just because of that. And finally seeing him so happy at that moment just gave me so much joy. And yeah, we just spent some time together just chatting. The midwife left us alone, and he was holding her, like, or maybe at first even he was afraid to even touch her. She was sleeping on my chest, so I was just telling him the story, and he was just sitting there touching her, looking at her, listening to me, and we were just chatting. I just told him straight up why I did not want him there, that I was just feeling so much pain, and physically I was just so, I don't know, cornered. I felt so cornered, like a wounded animal. I did not want anyone there, and he understood, even though of course it was a bummer, but yeah, he did not get to see the birth of his daughter. But I mean, he chose, even though we fought so much, to be like nonchalant about the whole thing, and he did like the bare minimum of just being a good person, a good boyfriend. It's not like he's an asshole or whatever, but he just did not change a bit. And even though I begged him for more attention and I cried my eyes out, I just saw that it was all he could do to just, occasionally like give my stomach a kiss or whatever. It was performative. I knew he did not feel anything, so it was, I don't know. When I made the decision not to call him, it was not out of spite. I swear to God, it was not. It was no form of punishment. I think I just thought that he wouldn't even care, it did not cross my mind that it might upset him. And like later, I just got so sad that I don't know, made this decision over his head. Due to other reasons, I came to regret this decision out of just regret for him, but I guess he's just the whole demeanor during the pregnancy, where everything was just la-di-da, made me think that I'd rather do it alone than have someone next to me that could not probably give me the support that I need or anything. It was just a non-brainer for me at that moment to not have him be there and just do it on my own, because I was doing all the emotional labor on my own anyway during the pregnancy. And he was and is a very good person and a very good boyfriend. He's loving, he's caring, but he's not in tune with his emotions and other people's, because he doesn't know what to do with other people's feelings or whatever, anything like that. Now I'm thinking all of it. Back then I was just happy to see him, happy to be reunited and have him be so just joyful and happy. It gave me so much life and happiness to see him like this. I spent like some more than an hour just chatting with my boyfriend in that room where I gave birth. But then it was kind of time where I was okay to leave, I guess. They just let you stay in bed for a long time to recover, I guess. And the baby was just chilling with me or my boyfriend at this point. So she asked me if I'm good to go, and yes. Mind you, still hadn't had any breakfast, barely drank. She told me that she will ask the nurses to save me the breakfast and give me lunch. And then she asked me to get up and wait and see what happens and if I'm doing well. So I got up from the bed that I was on for hours at this point that I experienced the crazy shit in my life. I stood up from that bed, which it was the same bed that I was first inspected when I first arrived. So that room was, I still so vividly remember that room. It's crazy. Yeah, she helped me dress, put my panties on, put my shorts on, and I stood up and I felt fine. All of a sudden, I had a fucking complete and utter collapse. Like, I started fainting. I had to lay down. There was no way I could walk. I really thought for a fucking second that I could, but after like 30 seconds or whatever, oh my god. So I was just resting, and it took me maybe 20 more minutes or even more. I don't know. Time was very relative in the hospital, all in all. I was just laying there. All I could do was form a couple of sentences, but I was just, it was so unpleasant. It's such a shitty feeling to lose control of your body like that. You know, obviously my boyfriend acknowledged that, but still I felt like he just forgot about me for a bit there. I was really like feeling like shit. It felt like I was dying. My mind was circling the drain and of not just being able to pass out, but I felt all the symptoms of passing out for like a long time. If you know that feeling, then you know what I'm talking about. When you pass out and then you wake up. But when you can't, it can last for a long time of just feeling like absolute shit. And he was just gooky gacky with the baby, you know. But I get it. I'm not jealous of the baby. I just wished he could ask me how I'm doing. That's all. But whatever. The midwife brought me a wheelchair because at this point she knew I was not good on walking myself. She had the boyfriend carry the baby, and she just pushed the wheelchair, and we went one last time through the fucking wooden door of hell itself, back to the common space and back to my room. She just gave me some last bit of advice after we chatted for a long while, actually. She told me that, you know, one thing that all her 5 completely different births had in common was the fact that after a couple of days, a huge hormonal shift hit her and depression hit her like a brick wall. And she told me that now I'm just extremely happy and on top of the world, and I'm relieved and I feel like the worst is over. But then reality just creeps up on you, and lack of sleep and stress and the whole change of life. She just told me that it's gonna be hard. After some parting words where I just expressed my huge gratitude, and she told me that I did a great job, that I'm strong and she was proud of me and I did so well and stuff like that. We said our goodbyes and I never saw her again. I just wished her the best. Like, really, the baby was so perfect. She slept so well. Whenever she woke up and gave a squeal, all I needed to do was say her name in this like nice voice, and she would be soothed by it, and she would fall asleep. We just put her in her little bed for a while so I could rest physically, and oh my god, she was so sweet and so tiny, and she just slept like a baby. And immediately I just knew that she would be an easy baby. I don't know why, but I just knew it. And she was, and she is. I'm so afraid of jinxing it, but as of now, she's such a good sleeper, and she was a good sleeper already in the hospital. She was completely fine of sleeping in her own little bed. She did not need to be held. They were good on their promise to feed me. They brought me the breakfast that I missed. They brought me lunch, and I tried my best to eat, but I was still feeling so dizzy, so it was hard for me to eat. And they were like, "You have to eat," and I'm like, "Okay, give me a minute." But all the while in the hospital, they were just so annoying because they would force you, kind of ask you to eat the whole time. They were like, walk in on you sleeping, wake you up, and sleep is fucking precious. When you just gave birth, wake you up asking if you ate, but then also they would just walk in on you and wake you to take your food away. Like, when we arrived in my room, I called my mother, obviously, and I do not remember calling her at all. I guess it was a video call, but I have honestly no recollection. My memory is completely out of whack. My brain was so scattered. It's actually my whole stay in the hospital. It's a blur. I remember some details, but I don't remember the bulk of it at all. I texted my sister, and then I also texted my ex-best friend, whatever you want to call her. I don't know if I mentioned that she, at this point, already slept over at my place once when she missed her last bus. It kind of seemed a little bit that she wanted to sleep over anyway. I don't know. We were just having this tiny barbecue party, and the other girl could have driven my ex-best friend home, but instead she decided to stay longer, even though the bus is kind of expensive where I live now. And then we were just talking. She missed the bus and she just stayed over, and we were constantly like texting. So from the day where I texted her in just mental anguish, you could say, we were in touch every day, just per text. It was just a nice feeling in ways that it was absence of pain. From the point where we started talking again, this pain that was just eating away at my soul, this hole in my soul, I guess, just disappeared, and I was feeling more normal and more rational, collected. I started fighting with my boyfriend less because I now had someone else to talk to. Like, I felt so isolated because she just left me. Yeah, I just felt more at ease and more sane, you could say. So I texted her, and I was just wondering why the whole time we weren't talking. I just thought to myself, it's just so crazy that she probably won't even come to see me in the hospital. You know, you just imagine, if you think that you have a best friend, you imagine how they will be here for you and stuff like that. And when she just left me, and then I got pregnant, and she showed zero interest in my pregnancy and everything. She just never asked how I'm doing and stuff. It was just so depressing. And when I texted her, I did not have any expectations of her, nothing. But instead, she texted me back that she was on her way, that she'll be there immediately as soon as she can. And that's exactly what she did. My sister and her, they arrived at the same time. And yeah, they were just, they arrived in my room. My boyfriend actually went to sleep on the second bed, right over the plastic cover. And we were just chatting. I was telling them the whole birth story again, just in broad strokes, I guess. And my best friend, she brought me this like very, very cute mouse, like a toy that was roughly the size of my baby. Only later I realized that she hand knit that mouse for me. It was just crazy. So I then re-expressed my gratitude, because I was in shock when I realized that I felt like such an asshole for it. But it was just crazy, so I guess she was kind of working on that behind the scenes. But she does that for everybody. Like, she's good with handmade gifts. She's very creative. And she also like brought me flowers and stuff. My sister brought me my favorite food. And yeah, it was just nice to have them there. My mother was like, she just noped out of visiting me in the hospital. It's like crazy how they ask for grandchildren and then it's just like, no, I won't be here when you give birth. Oh, we'll meet when you arrive home. I took a shower and mind you, I just gave birth. So when I looked in the mirror, it was like, look, your belly is still huge after you give birth. You still look like second trimester pregnant. It's just that it's now empty and there's nothing in it because your muscles and everything, your skin is stretched. But even though my belly was huge, still I was in shock how small it was compared to what I just got used to it looking like during the pregnancy. This belly was with me for such a long time, and it's every day I felt like it was crazy that I have this huge ass belly. Every day was a shock. Every day I just looked at it and I couldn't believe it. But still, you kind of get used to it. So when I looked at the mirror and I saw this smaller ball, I guess, I was so happy. Oh my god, I cannot begin to tell you how happy I was that this shit was behind me in a way. I knew that I'll have like a way of recovery to go and all kinds of other problems, but I still felt like the worst is behind me. This pregnancy is behind me. I was so happy. Oh my god. I made sure to kind of make photos of my progress, just so I can see how, my belly gets smaller and smaller each month. And at first, my progress was kind of actually crazy. I felt my uterus contracting, and the midwives, when I asked about it, they were like, no, you're not supposed to feel that. But it felt like the baby was still in me and still kind of moving. So it was my uterus contracting. And every time the nurses inspected me, they were just surprised by how quick it is, how quickly my uterus just becomes smaller and smaller. And yeah, so I was very happy with this progress. I was also so fucking happy that I could sleep or just lay down on my stomach or on my back. Both of those things are impossible when you're pregnant. People don't really know about the fact that you're not supposed to lay on your back. You get immediately dizzy, like close to passing out, because this heavy, huge weight rests on your aorta. And oh my god, when I finally could put my ass on the bed, it was the best feeling in the entire world. I was so done with constantly having to sleep on my side. No pregnancy pillow needed. I could sleep whenever, however. It's undescribable. It's like maybe 6 months of just discomfort, and it's just pure heaven. What else? Oh yes, speaking of weight, 9 kilograms immediately disappeared off me when I gave birth. So try to imagine this weight in water bottles. Like when it's just abstract, you don't really understand how crazy it is. But when you compare it to something, you just understand how much weight it is. My feet stopped hurting that much. I felt so much lighter on my feet. Oh my god. And obviously it took me a while to recover to the point where it would be enjoyable for me to just walk. But still, it was such a relief to finally be able to just feel lighter, to not carry this huge weight. Like everything just came back to normal, or even started to get back to normal, which I was fine with. The progress could be slow as long as it's there. I was prepared to be patient. I was just so thankful that it's all over. Like, I just have to mention it because it was such a huge relief that I felt at that moment. Um, I did not feel much pain from my stitches at all. I stopped taking the painkillers very early on because I just did not need it, kind of. I don't know. As long as I remained sitting or laying down, I felt almost no pain. It was just when you stood up and the blood rushed, downwards. It hurt, but it was just annoying. It wasn't bad at all. For maybe a month afterwards, I just kind of danced whenever I had to stand up, just from sheer uncomfortableness. But it wasn't a non-issue. I got some swelling on my feet, but I had this hospital bed and I could just adjust it so my feet were up, and that helped. Yeah, I just felt like myself again, and I still was 5 kilograms heavier, which was not that bad at all. I ran out of shit to wear in the hospital pretty quick, but I was just making do with what I had, I guess. At first, they gave you this like mesh undies to wear because you're bleeding after giving birth. There's a lot of bleeding, and they give you these like huge ass pads to put into these like undies. But after a while, you don't really need like special undies or anything. You can just use your normal undies as long as they're kind of high waist, because those pads are long. But I was just on cloud nine. Like, I don't know how, I just felt like I really did something, that I really achieved something, and now I'm reaping the rewards, and it was a nice ass feeling. But it was kind of hard for me to sleep, which will be a huge ass problem for me, because lack of sleep is like the first torture that any mother encounters. Nurses constantly wake you up, and I like, my body did its best. I can never sleep when it's light out, but I could fall asleep with full illumination, everything. My body was really trying to get like any type of sleep, but the outside circumstances just wouldn't let me, and it became a huge ass problem. I really cannot say much about my baby because it was just, sleeping 90% of the day, just waking up to cry, poop, She slept a lot in my arms, on my bed with me. Only a couple of times I fell asleep with her in my arms, and I felt so bad because it's dangerous, and the bed didn't even have like armrests or anything to secure you, so it was a dangerous setup. Also, a friend of mine said that you're kind of allowed to have like a sip of alcohol right before you start breastfeeding because it won't go into the milk or whatever. So my boyfriend and I, we smuggled like this tiny champagne bottle, and we just shared it, and I had like 2 sips of champagne to celebrate, which was so nice, like my first alcohol in like forever. And yeah, we were just admiring our baby, to be honest. Like, we were just watching her every move, her every little fart, her every little sigh, everything that she did in her sleep. My whole life I was so afraid that my baby would be like a colicky, constantly screaming baby, because my parents always told me that I was constantly like screaming when I was, I guess, an older baby or like a toddler, and I was just so afraid of it. I felt so guilty over being this like difficult child, I guess, because they constantly told me how difficult I was, and they didn't even mean that as like an accusation or anything. They were just telling me stories occasionally, and I just felt so bad, and I guess I internalized it, and this is why I never wanted kids, because I guess I felt like it's karma for me, and my baby will have my like screamy genes and shit like that. So when I was blessed with this like quiet, calm child that could sleep in her own crib, that did not need to be constantly carried, that wasn't like a Velcro baby that constantly stuck to you, I was so surprised and shocked and happy. And yeah, this is why what happened next hurt me even more, because this baby did everything right by me. It was so unfair to her, like, and her perfect behavior made it even more unfair and hurtful for me. But yeah, I started having trouble breastfeeding her. Like, I had to sit on a bed that did not have any armrest, hold a baby that I did not yet know how to hold, that was not able to hold its own head upright, so it's like huge that you hold your baby's head, right? Then I needed to hold her in a way that my tiny ass fucking boobs could connect with her, which was not easy. Like, if you have huge breasts, you just give her one. But I had like an A cup while I was pregnant, like a B cup, maybe tops. So I had to hold my baby up to my breasts. Also, I had this like silicone thing to put on my nipple that they gave me for some reason, because it makes it easier for the baby to find the nipple or whatever. Like, it's this, I don't know, people demonize giving your baby the bottle because it can reject the nipple later on, but then they give you shit like that in the hospital, like, but whatever. So that one too. Then I had to juggle the pregnancy pillow, and also I started to get muscle pain from birth all over my body. Everything started to hurt because she made me like curl up while giving birth and overexerted my muscles. It was so fucking hot. And we covered the windows, so it's kind of semi-dark in the room, because I did not have a roommate to complain about it. That's how we wanted it. And no one fucking told me that newborn babies need sunlight. They told me that newborn babies get jaundice, which is a liver condition, and that she might turn yellow and shit like that. But they never told me that sunlight is a direct cure, and that I basically denied my baby sunlight when she needed it most, and everyone's just okay with our room being dark. And like, again, I know I'm a mother, I should have googled it or something, but there's a lot on your mind. I was doing some googling, believe me, like, I was googling away. Everything was a worry for me, but I just did not think about it. Like, I don't know, I'm stupid. I'm so upset with myself over some decisions that I did not make, I guess. It was so hard. I had to juggle a lot while being in pain, and like, I should have ignored my pain. I should have just sat down whenever I needed to, however I could. But I was so careful. I was trying to do everything by the book. So I was just extra careful, extra slow. And the thing was that during the late stages of your pregnancy and after birth, you're so wobbly. You do not really have full strength of your core. It's hard to explain. It's like the upper part and then lower part of your body are disconnected. Like, they're connected on a thread. mixed with the pain, this like core weakness was just another like issue that I had to deal with. I feel like if I had easier time, I would probably not care that much. But I was actually like, it was my vanity, but it also was the fact that everyone warns you that, you know, you have a toddler to pick up later on. You need the strength. You can have problems that will last years if you don't take care of it properly. And I was just thinking that I can balance everything. As always, like, I start caring about way too much stuff and shit, the balls start falling left and right. And I thought I can balance it all out. I thought I can simultaneously be a good like nursing mother and take care of my body. But like, I think a good mother would have just not cared. And I did care, and still to this day I'm so like angry that my priorities were out of whack, that I just thought I can do everything, that I could make everything work, and it's just aggravating. I guess I was too slow, or she just fell asleep, or was too tired, and she just wouldn't take my breast. And whenever she took my breast, it's like nothing came out. And I don't know, it's all such a blur, and I don't exactly know how everything just came to be. It was just a mixture of my own fucking stupidity and my brain just being so scattered after birth that I just expected like the nurses to tell me what to do. I guess I just needed instructions. I was so lost, and I don't know how. I'm so like, I still have not forgiven myself because I do not understand what kind of mother just rolls with the punches, just goes with the flow. Like, I should have been far more proactive. Like, don't get me wrong, I dutifully gave her the breast, I did everything, but it just didn't work, and I don't know why. Like, they told me that like milk is not coming out. They had no patience with me. They would just wake me up, give me the baby, just leave immediately, and I'll have to hold her and then just take the pillow, take this nipple thingy. At some point I also needed to hold a formula bottle because they told me she's not getting enough milk. You need to give her formula as well in parallel, so she thinks that, you know, the formula comes out of your nipple, and so that she starts sucking. And I only had 2 hands, and I needed to hold like way too many objects in my hands and to hold her, and I was so, I don't know, it sounds like it's not that hard, but it was. It hurt when she latched, and there was just no milk coming out. I was drinking like up to 3 bottles of water, or maybe 4 bottles of water a day. I was drinking like until I could drink no more. I was really trying. At the beginning, I felt like she was feeding. I felt like there was something coming out, and she wasn't even like crying the whole time. That's the thing. She latched. I thought that she got fed and then she fell asleep. And no, they told me that she's too weak now and dehydrated, and the thing is, I told you that the room was dark the first couple of days. Well, when they finally decided to kind of let light in this room, we all noticed that my baby still had like yellowish skin because her jaundice did not pass. And bilirubin gets too high, it's very dangerous. It's basically a liver condition at this point. And yeah, it was just so scary to me that, I don't know, I was still so inexperienced, and you cannot preemptively Google everything, you know. But I still should have known. I still, like, the fact that I was such a shit mother already in a hospital, it still destroys me to this day. Like, the fact that my baby through like jaundice and being hungry at the first days of her life because of me. It just really like hurts me so bad. And I just never was none the wiser because she just behaved normally. She like woke up, screamed, latched on my breast. It felt like she ate and she fell asleep, and I thought that she was content, and then all of a sudden they tell me that she's dehydrated, that she has jaundice, that I never could sleep or eat, that I did not have time for anything but pumping, breastfeeding, giving her formula, changing her, and then back at the beginning, because it was like every 2 hours, and it took me almost 2 hours to finish this whole ordeal, and they told me that I was too slow, and they just couldn't understand what I was doing wrong, and I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong. I could do nothing right, and I don't know why I'm such a fucking dumbass. I'm having trouble explaining it because I'm having trouble really remembering it. I don't know if I have like trauma brain, or I don't know, like half of the story is me trying to understand it myself. And exactly on the day where my midwife warned me that I will have like a hormonal shift on the third day, that was the worst day of my life, because so I was on the pump the whole night, trying to breastfeed her, giving her formula, changing her on the pump while she slept, and yeah, I did not sleep the whole night. They offered to take her away for the night, but I was too afraid. I was watching her breathe. I was watching her sleep. I was dead set on always watching her because I was so scared of sudden infant death syndrome. It was like breakfast time, and it was the third day of just absolutely no sleep. Like maybe an hour here, an hour there, when my boyfriend was here. I also barely moved. I had like muscle pain all over. I was just dead set on nursing. Like when they asked me if I plan on nursing, my answer was yes, because I did not even like think about alternatives. It was just nursing for me. And so they found me with my baby in my arms, completely exhausted. I wasn't like crying or anything, but I was just sitting there, exhausted, distressed, because she wouldn't latch again. And I just asked them for help. I asked them to like tell me what I can do differently, why she wasn't latching. I was just in such a distress because she wouldn't eat. And still to this day, whenever she refuses food, I get so anxious. When, for example, when she's sick and she kind of has a low appetite, which is completely normal, I get distressed. I think it's because of those days in the hospital. So she just wouldn't eat. And it's like a vicious circle where she is too weak to eat. And this makes her even weaker. I was so afraid at this point. I felt like I was killing her. I felt like I was doing everything wrong. So they just looked at me, and like these two nurses that brought breakfast that I asked to kind of help me a little bit, they sat me down, and one of them was like, look, like just out of my experience, it does not really seem like it will be working for you. You take the pump home, you pump, you feed her formula anyway, and then you have to repeat the cycle again, and you won't have time for sleep, you won't have time for anything else, and you just crash and your milk will stop coming in altogether. And I tried pumping for hours that night, and nothing came out. At first I thought, because it was kind of like misty, I thought I saw some milk in there, and I was so happy, but then I took a look at it again, and there was nothing in it, and I felt like I was hallucinating. Like I was so distraught and upset, and so she was like, look, there is a pill, I can give it to you now, and your milk will stop altogether, and you'll get like no was no difference at all between breast milk and formula and shit like that. And she started to put it like on me real thick. She like legit started working me. And at this point and like, I'm making excuses now because, like, legit, I should have asked for more time to think about it, but I didn't, and I don't know, I just let her convince me, and I don't know, there was no reason why I should have not asked her for more time, and also no reason why she couldn't wait for me to think about it for an hour or two or a day or so, because the second I was kind of okay, she already brought the pill and already the pill was in my mouth. She didn't force me, obviously. I said yes. She asked me for my permission. I said yes. She gave me the pill, gave me water. And just like that, I destroyed every chance for me to breastfeed my baby. Like a fucking dumbass, like a fucking weakling that I am. And no one forced me to do it. No one forced me to. I did it on my own accord. I was done with fucking breastfeeding. I guess I'm just being honest. I'm just being completely honest. I guess I was done with sobriety. I was looking forward to returning to my life, and I never thought that it was an option. I knew formula exists, obviously, but I never thought that I will not breastfeed. So I was already like thinking, oh my god, this shit is it will never end. Like, I will have to be like sober and shit like that for years, and a better woman would be fine with it. And I don't know if that's why I did it. It just, all of it just, it's so disgusting that I even thought about it. Like, maybe it's the stress, maybe it's just all of it, and I'm so ashamed that I took this pill. I don't know. Like, my baby deserved the world. My baby deserved to be breastfed by her mother. She deserved a mother that would just never put her own sanity, I guess, over my baby. And look, when I say that, right, I don't shame other women like me. There are women who just say outright, I will not breastfeed because my sanity is more important to me. I'm touched out. I have anxiety breastfeeding. I hate it. I have aversion or whatever reason, I just don't want to do it. Some take medication, say they don't want to be weaned off the medication or anything, Women have reasons to stop breastfeeding, and I respect that. I'm not shitting on them, but as far as I go, I hate myself for what I did. To this day, I do hate myself. I would change it in a heartbeat, and I'll tell you right away, like, spoiler alert, it was the best decision for me personally, and my baby is not worse off from it at all. Like, so far she's a very healthy baby. She was like sick 2 times, and that was because other people infected her. She's like well fed, active, lovely, everything healthy, and I, for one, am such a more relaxed, better mother for it, right? So I can speak for myself. I profited highly from not breastfeeding her, and I still would do it differently if I could. Like, if I had a time machine, I would still not take that pill, because I'm still mentally so distraught by what I did. I felt like I betrayed her for my own gain. And after that, I did not touch alcohol. I did not touch like weed for a long time. I was disgusted by it. It felt like if I drink one sip of alcohol, if I have like one joint or anything, that I'm betraying my daughter, that this is why I did it. And it's not. Like, it crossed my mind, obviously, and I'm not gonna pretend like it didn't. But it's not why I did it. Like, I asked before I took the pill, I asked her, "Are you like sure that my milk won't come in?" She was like, "I'm 80% sure that the amount of milk that you produce will not be worth the amount of work that you have to put in." I asked her, "Is it like the same? Is formula healthy?" And she was like, "It's as good as breast milk, 100%. She was so like, I just don't understand why she did. Like, maybe it's just because it's more easy for her to convince me to take formula, I guess. Like, maybe it's the hospital policy, which is crazy. Because some hospitals are like toxic in the other direction, where they shame you and destroy your mental health and put a lot of pressure on you to breastfeed. But my particular hospital was like understaffed, and they even closed now because they were so understaffed. So I guess they just did not want to bother with me. But the way this woman just made it her life's work at this moment to convince me not to breastfeed, it's so weird to me. Like, it's just demonic. And she was so friendly. She was so like kind. And remember when I told you I called the hospital and there was this woman on the phone that was just so friendly? It was her. To this day, when I tell this story, I called her Satan, because you know what? It's still my fault. Like, it's not her fault. I was a dumbass, and fucking shame on me. And just for everyone who listens to it, who does not breastfeed, who gives their child formula, please don't think that this is how I think of you. Your situation is your own. Like, your decision making is your own. I'm talking about myself and the fact that I feel like I betrayed my child, but I honestly do not feel that way about other women. And it's so crazy that I support other women's decision, but the way I think about myself is just so full of hatred and shame and disgust. I don't know how you can be like divided that way in your own brain. And I know that we're supposed to treat ourselves the way we want to, treat our best friend, but like, it's hard for me. I think I might need therapy, and it just really destroyed my mental health. So right after I took the pill, I don't know, I was like in shock, I guess, and I felt like relieved. I just felt relieved. I felt like I will never have to pump again. I'll just give her formula and then she'll be fed. I'll never have to like spend hours doing the whole dance with putting her on my breast. I was just selfishly relieved. Like, the relief was just a wave over my whole body. Like, I don't know, I just sit there in complete shock, my ears ringing, and I just, oh my god. And this will be so hard to tell. I'll just try to make it quick. Like, my boyfriend called me, and I told him, and when I told him, I guess, again, like being selfish, I didn't even feel like he would be upset, but he was. He was upset with my decision, and he did not like he wasn't mean or anything, but he was like, "But why did you not consult me? Like, why didn't you just quickly discuss it with me?" And when he told me that, I was in complete shock. And it just dawned on me. It was like 5 minutes after I've taken the pill. It just dawned on me that I did not even talk to him about it. He's the father, and I just made this decision without even, like, he didn't even exist. Because in my little world, he barely existed. Like, hospital. But he was like, I was sleeping when he was there with the baby, and then when the baby was awake, I just had no time for him. He constantly came late because he overslept. He was like arriving at 1 o'clock or something. And meanwhile, I was up the whole night, the whole morning, I just felt no connection with him, but it's all like just excuses. I should have consulted him. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's hard for me not to make excuses, but it's like I'm trying to explain. I'm not trying to make it make sense, I'm just saying why certain things probably happened, but I'm not saying that it was right the way the things happen, I just don't, I don't know. So immediately on the phone, I got defensive because I knew that I fucked up. I was so ashamed, and I got defensive, and I was like, why don't you support me? I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. Why can't you just be happy for me that I have some sense of relief now? And I hung up on him, and immediately I started calling him again. I immediately realized what I was doing wrong, but he didn't pick up anymore. And then came the horrible day of him just not picking up for I don't know how many hours. It felt like the whole day, but it probably wasn't. But I don't know, he just did not pick up, and I was texting him, apologizing, crying, leaving him messages. I immediately called the nurses, and I started like begging them to help me like remove the pill, but they were like, no, we can do that. I was like, what if I puke now? And they were like, no, adamant that it won't work. And they were like, I saw it in their eyes, and it was scary. I saw that they understood that they fucked up a little, that they should not have put me under pressure to make that decision, that they should have given me some room to think about it, because if I could think about it, I would not have made that decision. And I felt them looking at each other, looking at me, and I felt them being afraid that I will sue, that I will complain, I felt it, and this shit was scary to me. It was scary to me. I realized that I was not acting in their best interest anymore, and I was putting them at professional risk, I guess. Even though I never accused them or anything, I never told them anything bad. I was polite and friendly with them, and I was putting all the blame on me, right? I knew that they felt like one mood shift and I could really turn against them, and they were afraid. And that, you're in the hospital, you're alone, all alone with them. You're relying on them to support you, to support your baby. Your health, your baby's health is reliant on them. And now they feel like you're a burden, that you are danger to them, It was so scary. And I remember this polite woman, Satan, she looked at me and she was like, but you were so happy with our decision making, remember? And this made me just shut the fuck up. And I was just like, I cannot, I don't want, like, I can't say anything else to them. I cannot, because it's hard to explain. Like, you're dependent on those people. And I know I'm exaggerating. I know it wasn't as deep. But back in the moment, like, I was so hormonal, so anxious already before I made that decision. When I was left alone in my room, I started bawling as quietly as I could. They brought me food. I saw no reason to eat that shit now. Like, my baby could get formula. I was feeding her formula now constantly. Why would I? Like, it doesn't matter anymore. But I still, like, my baby, so I tried to eat. I remember I put a croissant in my mouth and I could not chew it. I could not swallow it. It just sat there for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I just sat with this bite of croissant in my mouth and I did not know how to swallow it. I felt like I have taken like a suicide pill and regretted it because my whole body started hurting, and I get like that when I'm stressed. My muscles and bones start hurting. I felt disgusting. Like I really felt like I took poison. I felt like something that was destroying me was sitting in my body and I could not get rid of it. I was hypochondriac as shit in that moment. I felt sick to my stomach physically. My whole body hurt. My soul hurt. Like, I legit tell you, I have never been in more pain mentally in my life. It was so hurtful that it actually hurt me all over my body. I could not stand, I could not sit. I just lay in bed and I just cried and watched the wall, and that was it. And I knew that the nurses at this point have already spoken with each other and they wanted to do some damage control, because even though I made no show of it, I tried to contain my emotions. I was in my room bothering no one. I did not make one accusation, nothing like that. I knew that it was my fault. Every fucking one of them, the whole fucking floor, every single person working there went into my room and spoke to me about it. People that weren't even there. Like, first those two ladies came in trying to do damage control, set me down, made me tell them why I'm so distraught. Like this Satan, she was like, why are you crying? What's wrong? You made a great decision. Look, you made a great decision for your baby. Your baby's fed now. Look how calm she is. Look how good she's sleeping. Like, you're holding her. You're still her mother. You're still there for her. And she was like, a mentally healthy mother is so much more valuable. And you know what? I still feel like those arguments make sense. Again, not shitting on formula feeding parents at all. And I'm really sorry if it came that way. It's just, I'm talking shit about myself because I have mental issues. But she made good points. But still, she was not doing it because she felt bad. She was not doing, like, I didn't see a human being sitting in front of me. It was just bad, and they of course made me kind of cry because they asked me all kinds of questions, and I told them that my boyfriend was upset with me, and then they started shitting on my boyfriend. Everyone, it also, like, they told everyone about my boyfriend being angry with me because everyone mentioned him and everyone was shitting on him. Everyone was shit-talking him. Everyone went in my room and told me that it's not his business, that it's not his right, that it's my body, it's a woman's choice, shit like that, And I get it, but still, I did not even give him a courtesy of consulting him. And that was the fucking issue. It was my choice, and it would have been on me to breastfeed my baby, so it's my choice to say no. If there's an alternative, he wouldn't be the one going through that. So yes, I do agree, but without even fucking consulting him. Like, that shit is nasty, and they just wouldn't get it, And they were like so upset that he stopped responding to my calls and messages, and then the doctor came, quick inspection, and I started getting very dizzy, so I asked for a chair, and the doctor asked the nurse what's wrong with me, and she was like, well, and they called him husband, but whatever, her husband is making a big deal out of her not breastfeeding, and hence the doctor shitting on my boyfriend too, and I was just so fed up with I was leaving him messages begging him to forgive me and shit like that. I was talking to my baby, crying. When she was sleeping, I was holding her and kissing her and apologizing to her, and it was a mess. I was a fucking mess. Even the rude fucking doctor came in a couple of days later on the same shit like everyone else, telling me that was the best choice I could have made. They were talking like they knew that for a fact that I will not be able to produce milk, but they didn't. And even thinking about it, right? Why am I supposed to take a pill if my milk is not coming in? Why the pill then? I'm such a fucking dumbass. And yeah, I guess this part is not relaxing at all. I really need to calm down. I got so emotional telling that because it's such a hard thing for me to tell, and I'm so ashamed of it. And yeah, it was very hard to balance excuses with just being real about my selfishness. It was just hard. And my boyfriend also told me on the phone that, did you do it because you want to smoke weed? And it just destroyed me. Did I probably fucking did. And wow, this shit is pathetic. This is pathetic. And I don't know. I just don't want to paint a picture of this saint, I fucked up. And I really don't want to shit on the hospital staff because they were worried about jaundice. At this point, it was so bad that my baby needed to be put under a blue light lamp, which they called a sun bath or Malibu or something they called it. So they took her away, and I thought they'll just take her away for a bit. And then it was 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I got some sleep, but then I kept waking up expecting them to finally bring her back. But they just didn't. It was 4 hours. And I felt again, just creeping pain all over my body, just that something might happen to my baby. And I just couldn't even get up and ask for her because I was so afraid. And then the door opened and my boyfriend came in, but all I could think of and all I said was, "Where's my baby?" So he went and asked, and they told him that she's still under the lamp, that it's fine, she's sleeping, she's doing great. And he came to me, he hugged me, I bawled my eyes out, I apologized, I everything, and he told me that he forgives me, that it's what it is, and that he was just upset that I did not consult him. And I told him, of course, you have all the right, to be upset, I'm sorry. And we just talked, and then he just asked me to just walk with him through the hospital, and we just walked, and everyone that was shitting on him said hi to us and saw us together, and then they brought the baby, and we were just hanging out with the baby and change of scenery. And then I also asked him that day or maybe the next day to bring me some things to change, because everything I had was my shorts and everything was spotted in blood. I was running out of panties and shit like that, and he forgot. And it was just so sad that he forgot, that he just left me without clothes to wear. And he didn't even apologize, and of course he apologized many times later, but he was just okay, I'm going now, I'll bring you everything you need. And I was just fuck you, honestly, don't bother. And I just cried my eyes out. I was just crying and crying because it just hurt my this. And it's not even about him forgetting, it's about him like not even apologizing at that moment. Just like, I don't know, making it like a discussion or anything instead of just owning it. I just felt so unloved, like, and the nurses came like in, they were like constantly asking me, tell me to eat. You should eat, you should eat, you should eat, you should eat, Miss Page, you know, you should eat. And they were like, look, if you continue in that route, you get postpartum depression like a motherfucker. You really need to collect yourself. You need to get your shit together. And they also told me good news that I'll be getting a roommate. They told me, oh, it's a good thing for you. You'll finally have someone to talk to. You'll have company. It'll do you some good. And it did. It actually did. But when I heard about it, I was just so sad and anxious. And oh man, this hospital stay was a fucking disaster. And at this point, we could have easily just left home. But my baby had jaundice still, and they were showing me the stats. They were like, a little bit more of that shit, of that progression, and we'll have to move you to a different hospital because it's bad. And I was just, all I could think of was, I'm killing my baby. Like, I did not feed her, and now she's sick, and so bad. Like, even though her stats immediately started to improve with formula, so I don't know how long I could have kept it up on breastfeeding. But still, like, why is that so many other women has this shit on lock? So, but then, like, even though I could not leave the hospital because they had to put her under a lamp, things started to improve very slowly, and I think I'll just end it here because it has been very exhausting telling that shit, and I'm so happy that I put it behind me. And yeah, I'm sorry for this downer of a story, and I'm sorry that it's not ASMR, that I'm so anxious and upset when telling it. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope you don't judge me too harshly. I feel like I managed with this video to upset breastfeeding and non-breastfeeding people at the same time.